So I want to talk a lot a bit about not just the sun, because without the sun, we would not have the moon. So if you notice, here's the sun on the left-hand side, and the full moon is over here opposite of. The sun gets all the attention in astrology because everybody always says, "Oh, I'm Taurus, I'm Aries, I'm Virgo, I'm Libra." Well, that's one sign. The moon represents it shifts every 29 and a half days and goes through all 8 cycles, and it represents our home, our family, our mood, emotions, food, health, fertility, energy, and opportunity. And the phases of it, or the level of light, represent our opportunity or our accessibility. The moon transmits and it amplifies, or it reflects what's functioning, working, or difficult in our lives. So there are 8 different phases of the moon, and I think of them as the planting cycle. And I always start with my thoughts of the new moon, which I thought went really well because of tomorrow's new moon in Libra. And so with the planting cycle, it begins with a potential represented by planting a seed into the ground. Events in our life begin to unfold the same way that a seed takes root and it begins to grow. So when you're born under a specific moon, or whether you follow the moon cycle with what's going on that day, it all coincides, and the information it helps you to understand personality and focus in your life. So let me start off with the new moon. The new moon think about the season of spring. The new moon's about a beginning. It's why we plant our seeds with our ceremonies. It's a clean slate. It's a beginning, and it should be done like when I do my ceremony. I always wait until just when it starts to not be completely dark, because you want it to be the beginning of something new that you're planting the seeds for. The waxing crescent going down, so think about going counterclockwise. The waxing crescent moon represents growth. So I always think of blossoms, exploring your dreams, courage, moving forward, and having faith. So these two represent the sign of spring. And then we move to the next. The next is, they call it the first quarter, or it's a half of a moon. I think of my keywords are: think about a teenager. It's summer, action, progress, time to commit, challenges, confidence, and commitment. So when the moon is here, those are the feelings that go along with the energy, if that makes sense. When we get to the gibbous moon, the waxing gibbous, this is about refining, fine-tuning, improving, tweaking, honing, or adjusting. So I think about this as, okay, the teenager is higher in high school. They need to fine tune, they need to tweak some things. We're not at a complete full adult yet. The full moon, the next two represent fall, the season of fall. So full moons mean peak. This is when we have our full moon ceremonies that we give thanks for things. Peak and revelation, whole moon, completeness, make or break time, forgiveness, and gratitude. And so this is when things are illuminated that we might not have seen without the sun's reflection on the full moon. The next is the waning gibbous, also called the dissemination. This is a phase about sharing, giving back, wisdom, release, acceptance, and regrouping. So now I think about it as the person is getting older, full moon, adult, mother, maiden, crone. Now they're getting a little bit older and saying, okay, what do I need to do? I have more wisdom. I need to give back. I need to accept. I need to release, and I need to share. The last 2 quarters, think of as winter. The last quarter, or the third quarter, is about reorientation, following your path, desire to be authentic, because now we're an older adult. These are things that are more important to us. The moon is rapidly losing light. So think of it as we're getting older. There's an urgent need. We need to feel balanced, and we need to feel trust, and we are going to be reevaluating things in our life. When we get to the last one, there's hardly any light left. This is called the balsamic, or waning. This is retreat, wisdom, healing, soothing, surrender, and release. So when you know the moon phases of when you're born, so when somebody gets their natal chart done, they find out their sun, their moon, and all the planets. I think the 3 most important that I look at are the sun, where they shine, the moon, their private side, and their ascendant is what they're seen as, how people see them. So when you look at your moon, you can say, okay, this is not about fate, but it's kind of predetermined what you're going to be doing with the energy at that point in your life. This, if you know what they are, like some people are just, when they say, oh, I'm like an old soul, well, then you're definitely not born in a new moon phase. You're definitely born like probably in the last quarter or a waning crescent. They're just born with wisdom. They just have more patience. They exude it. Somebody who's a little bit more impatient, or new, maybe like first or second time around, if you believe in reincarnation, then they're probably born under a new moon. I look at what is the sign that the moon is in, and that gives me that tells me about the energy of so Aries is like the starter, and so they're impulsive, but they're the warrior. And Taurus is more laid back, very earthy, very grounded. The Cancer is the water, going with the flow. If you know what the sign is, and you know that the phase of the moon, it gives you a lot of information about what that person's going to be doing in their life, or the energy that they're going to be doing it in their private side, if that makes sense. The sun is where we shine, and the moon is our private side. So if you know what energies that you're working with, then you can work around something that you might seem to be a little bit more difficult, or you can take advantage of what is seen as a blessing. I follow the moon I'm going to quit sharing with this. I follow the moon cycles on when I share things to Facebook, when I post things, when I buy things. Does anyone here follow the moon cycle at all? Like the daily moon cycle? No, you do? Okay. So I have a calendar app on my phone, and I have a calendar that I follow and say, okay, so tomorrow's moon is going to be in Libra, and it's going to be a new moon. So Libra is all about balance and wanting fairness and equity. So tomorrow's new moon is going to be, we are going to be wanting to have some kind of balance in our life. Well, then you take what else is going on with the moon, and you say, okay, this is the intention that I need to put out there for my new moon intentions. I don't know if you guys do your new moon intentions, or if you just do your full moon ceremonies, but I do a monthly new moon. What intention am I going to put out there? And I look at what is this moon, and I use that energy to manifest more of what I want, if that makes sense. I also use, it's called Void a Course. You can get an app on your phone. You can look, I don't know if you do the witch's date book, but there's a calendar in the back that has every date that the times when the moon is void a course. When the moon goes from one sign to another, there's a brief period that they call void a course. And when it's void a course, that means it's not in the sign of Aries, but it's also not in the sign of Taurus. It means it's in a standstill or a pause. And if you could avoid signing papers, starting anything new, then it's better for you down down on the long run, if that makes sense. I look at the phase of the moon and say, okay, if I want to start something new, I look at my calendar and say, I need to start it on an Aries day. If I want to, if there's something about, I want to expand on something that I've already started. I want to pick Sagittarius. I want, oh, Artemis, the third quarter waning moon. Okay, so think of yourself as like an old soul. You are now looking at things and saying, I've come into this lifetime with knowledge already, and I'm not in a big hurry to I don't have to prove myself. I am just now going to use this energy, and you're going to share it. So think of it as an adult who says, I'm comfortable with the skin I'm in, and I'm going to share it, if that makes sense. I use Void a Course for just about everything. I use, I encourage you that if you print out papers, if you plan events, if you do anything, look at the moon cycle in which it's going to, like, I don't send out any newsletters if the moon is Void a Course. I wait until the moon is in a sign or another. If I want a specific energy, I look at what is the moon that day to send it out in. Am I making a little bit of sense? Okay. Does anyone have any questions so far? Because I'd like to be able to make sure I'm being crystal clear. Or if you know what your moon is, or if not only your moon, but if you know the sign that your moon is in also, it helps you. And then every year, so on your birthday, we have what's called as a solar return. On your birthday, you look at what is going to be the moon of the year, that the energy that you're going to be working with. So just because you were born with this natal chart, that does not mean that that's going to be you right then and there. Your natal chart was meant for you to unpack as the years go on, because we can't learn all of our lessons before we're 5 years old. Like every year we have a solar return and we unpack new gifts, which are your trines, and new lessons, which are going to be your squares. And so this year, everybody came into 2020 knowing that we're all going to be working on something in our charts, something in our lives that are going to be pushing us to extremes of change, if that makes sense. What do we want to change? How are we going to change? For some of us, the change is going to come easy. For comes in and sweeps up everything and changes it, and Capricorn follows the rules, and then Sagittarius says, I'm just going to blow this energy up and make it big and expansive. And so we come in with this energy saying, I need to transform in some way. When you look to the person's moon, you see what they privately keep close to their heart that they don't share. We call it like the shadow side, your diary, your journal, something about you that you don't want to share with others. Your sun is where you shine. Your moon is what you keep close to your heart, and that you don't let a lot of people in. Sometimes people don't get to see any of it, and sometimes you share a little bit of it. I don't know if you do tarot at all, but think of as the moon tarot card, where they're usually like looking at a mask. It's the mask that you wear when you go out in public, because it's being vulnerable. The moon is feminine energy, and it's about what growth are you in, and being vulnerable and comfortable. And not everybody is. It depends on where they, does that make sense, that they where they are. Yeah. Somebody posted something about that the moon was almost full. I didn't catch all of it. Moon sign in Pisces. Oh, I love that. Waxing gibbous. So less than a day before it was full. So Pisces, think of the sign of Pisces as it's two fish with one umbilical cord holding them both together. And it wants to go this way and it wants to go this way. So I can't decide which way do I want to go. It's the most evolved psychically of the zodiac, but it can't decide. It's like, it's ruled by Neptune, and Neptune is ruled, it's like, I always say, think of it as you are drunk or high trying to make these decisions, and you can't pick one or the other because you want to do this and you want to do this. And if the moon is almost full with the sign of Pisces, it's easy, like, it's easy to be deceived. It's easy to be taken advantage of. Those would be some negatives too, but it's also very comfortable with where you are. Like, sometimes people take advantage of people who are Pisces just because they're kind, caring. And if you know that going in, then you can say, okay, these are my strengths and these are my weaknesses. And if this is going to be a weakness of mine, I have to be on guard for it, because I know it's going to happen. And that's going to be my life lesson. I chose it. I always tell people, you chose this. You chose this to either work with or overcome, your choice. Do we have any questions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
My grandmother, my grandfather had some land, and they lived off the land. They planted everything that all their vegetables. And they actually planted, they used to use this, I know it's still around, the Farmer's Almanac.
Farmer's Almanac. The Farmer's
Right.
Almanac is as witchy as you can get.
Yeah. And
Like,
they planted by the moon phases.
it's a thing. It's really, if I could encourage anyone here to, if you have anything that you do for your business, at least look at void of course, and don't mail out anything. Don't expect anything. Like, I don't post. I don't do a new post when the moon is void of course. I do my new moon intentions, and I do usually a crystal grid with it to like amp up the energy. But my new moons, I always say, okay, what's the sign that it's going to be in? Like, if we know it's going to be in Libra, we know it's going to be about balance. We know it's going to be about wanting, it's going to be about government and love and people, and not wanting to pick one side or the other, or can't we all play nice in the sandbox? And so your new moon intention should be, how can I do this in a loving manner? How do I, and every month we get a new moon. It changes every month. So your new moon intention should reflect whatever that new moon is, to amplify the energy. I think of it as a gardener planting the seeds. And if you think about the season, it goes along with it. And yeah, the Farmer's Almanac, I used the Farmer's Almanac until I got the Witch's Date book.
I got that now. Is that Llewellyn?
Yeah, I love it. I love it. It tells in the book, in the back of the book, and I didn't even touch on solar and lunar eclipses. Whenever, does anybody here capture moon water? Like, okay, put it out for the full moon to capture that kind of energy. And then what are you going to do with it? Like I charge my crystals, but I also try to capture the energy of. Whenever there's an eclipse, I definitely try to capture the energy of, but then I'm cautious with what do I do with it. If it's an eclipse, eclipses are magnified energy and some of them are erratic. So do I want to be drinking that? Nope, nope. But can I use it for other things? Absolutely, absolutely. Bathing, cleaning, my plants, my crystals. The list goes on and on and on. But I call it my moon juice. Like I'll keep a gallon out for I keep a gallon out for when I have like gatherings or whatever. So it's I don't know. I think that use it for ceremony. It's for health and yeah. But every month, on top of my the full moon gathering, we try to do a new moon gathering. It doesn't always happen because it's you're talking every 2 weeks. Like this month, we have 2 full moons. So they call it a blue moon because we have one at the beginning and one at the end of the month. And it's because every 29 and a half days, it goes through the cycle of rotating through it has to go through all the zodiac signs. And so when you have it happen in 1 month, they call it once in a blue moon. So you have 2 full moons. So we had one on the 1st, we're going to have one on Halloween. And it's going to be a little crazy because full moons illuminate. I love full moons. I love all parts of the moon, but like the full moon, people cannot hide their freak. They try to, but that's the best time. You want to know what's really going on with somebody? Get to know them during a full moon. Hospitals are crazy. The schools get, like people, they cannot hide because the sun illuminates everything about the moon. And it's an amazing time to like secrets come out during the full moons. Things that are hidden come out during full moons. And as long as you know that, then you can work with the energy.
I've read somewhere where it's not a good idea to, I can't remember what book it was in now. I've got 1,000 of them, but where you should not cast certain spells during a half moon.
I am cautious. So I am always cautious. If it's something that I want to start that's new, I don't do it on exactly the new moon. I wait until it's just gaining some light because I want to start it and have it gain, if that makes sense.
Okay.
If I'm starting something, I don't do it on a full moon because it should be at its fullest and now it's going to wane. Does that make sense? So when I'm working, I'll call it working with the energy, but when I'm working with the energy, what do I want to start? Like, do I want to end something? Yeah. If I want to end a disagreement, end an argument, end something that I consider negative or put an end to something, I look at the full moon and say, this is when I'm going to do it. I give thanks for it and I do my ceremony then, or I do it at the 3/4 because I want to put an end to it soon. Other questions? Anybody else got anything else that you have questions for moons or sun or the other planets? We got time.
How many days is that that void? How many days?
Okay. So each planet, it's different for every single planet. Some planets move faster than others. And so the void, of course, can last anywhere between 2 hours and 12 hours, 14 hours. Here, let me pull up. Let me see. I love this book. I also have an app on my phone that walks me through. If I'm out with somebody and if I'm going to be working with somebody or doing something that requires a contract or something, I never sign it when everything is in void of course. So I always look to say, okay, what sign is the moon in? But some last for an hour, some last for 2 hours, some last for 12 hours. I don't put anything out. I don't start anything new either. I wait until it's definitely all full in the sign, because you want that full, you want the full energy of. So in the book, I don't know if you can see this, but it'll start you off here and it'll say the moon V/C 2:55 a.m. So I know that the moon is going to be void of course at 2:55 a.m. and then it's going to enter Capricorn at 11:35 a.m. So I know that it's going to be not quite, not quite 12 hours. And sometimes it's longer and sometimes it's less, but it's about every 2.5 days that a moon shifts into a different sign.
What I found that the accompanying calendar that comes with the Llewellyn,
I love the calendar.
isn't it awesome? I love the calendar as well as the date book and everything. So the calendar I found really the exact same thing as the date book, except that it simplifies things. So it's for me anyways, it's spread out and it's got things in the squares, it's individualized by the days, the months, and then it'll actually say just spread out, void of course, kind of thing in the actual specific area. And it's, I don't know, it seems to work better for me in many cases.
I use both. I use actually, okay, so I have 3 things that I use. I'm faithful about my big calendar is on the door. So before I go out the door, every day before I go to work, I'm like, okay, what kind of energy are we working with today? You would think that I would know, but as an astrologer, I'm always working 6 months to a year in advance, always trying to say, okay, where am I going to be at Christmas? Where are things going to be next spring? I'm trying to plan things out and I'm trying to look at the astrology and I'm always looking at other people's charts. And then a friend will say, hey, what is this moon? And I'm like, oh my God, how could I not know the moon? I've been doing this for so long. You should at least know the darn moon. So I scan every single day to stay in the moment of what is going on. And then if I have to pass, like if I have to start anything or initiate anything, I make sure that it's not the void of course. And the void of course is, I don't even sign papers. I don't sign, it's kind of like a Mercury retrograde. It's not in a sign. It's not here and it's not there. It's this gray area where it's not named. And so the big calendar is what I have on my door. This is one that I keep with me for when I'm at home and I jot my notes into. And then on my phone, I use another one called, and I love it. It's a free app, all about it, called Deluxe Moon Phase. Not only does it tell me what phase it's in, it says waxing crescent 8:14. It tells me it's 28.7 days into the cycle. And it tells me when the moon rise is going to be, when the moon set is going to be, and it's in the sign of Libra. Like at a glance, and it shows me how much is really showing of the moon. And as you flip it, you can see the moon grow.
Nice.
Oh, that
Makes
nice.
sense. And so if you're trying to learn about the moon, this is an amazing app that's free. I'm all about, I want to understand it. I want to learn it, and don't make it that difficult for me. I need something that is, and the cool thing. So I love this app because it throws in the astrology. It shows you press another button and it shows what is the sign in of the sun and the moon. And it says next void of course at the bottom. So I'm like, okay, my next void of course is going to be November 6th, 2020 at 8:27 p.m. and it will end November 7th at 2:18 a.m. I'm like, okay. I'm not going to be posting anything during that time. I'm not going to be sending out a newsletter. I'm not going to be, I'm just using it as caution, if that makes sense. And I think that it helps business and everything else.
Oh, friends of mine are getting married at that time.
At what
a-
time?
During a void, of course.
Oh,
Really?
wow.
Wedding.
At 8:27 p.m.
The ceremony starts at 6.
Oh, okay. As long as they say their IDs before the real, like, yeah. Otherwise,
What would happen
truly-
if they got married during a void, of course?
Okay, so
That
think,
is not a good foundation.
no, right? It's not a good foundation. You want, yeah. I have moved things before, and people who know me, they used, I'm sure that they used to laugh and joke about things, but they would say, hey, do you want to, join us for this, or why don't you sign for this, or let's do this? And I'm like, hold on, I need to go see where the moon is at. I need to know what the energy of the day. So, and they used to say, you always have to, and then I follow my dreams. And my gut, if my spirit guide says, no, you shouldn't be doing that, or no, I follow my dreams and the astrology of, yeah. So I think it's a thing. Yeah.
What was the name of that app again?
Yeah, I was gonna say, can you post out what's up with that?
Hold on. I want you to see it. Hold on. Let me go back. It's called, okay, Deluxe Moon. It's this blue one, right? How do I move this? That's what it looks like.
Okay.
Deluxe moon phase.
Yes. And get the one that's free.
Good, that's good.
And when you click on it, you're like, oh my gosh. It tells you the date. It tells you the time. It tells you, like, go ahead, take away my job. Why does anybody need me?
Ah.
So I have a question about the void course. I get the big concept is we're trying to avoid doing things during that because they won't
Starting
have
anything new.
foundation.
Yeah.
But would it be useful if you wanted something not to be noticed or something to have little effect? If you wanted to do something that you didn't want to last, like on purpose?
Yeah, that would be, so yes. Yep. Yeah, that would, I'm cautious with it because of bad juju or bad whatever.
Back to bite you.
Well, not if they're in my freezer.
I got a question.
Yeah.
I don't have dreams, or well, they say everybody dreams, but if I'm having them, I don't remember them.
My daughter doesn't remember. You
What is that?
You can tell yourself. You can tell yourself, I want to remember my dreams. You can ask to remember your dreams, and not everybody remembers them, and not everybody acts on them. I've dreamed forever, and it got to the point where I said, okay, I don't need to receive all my messages at night. I'll take them during the day now because I need my sleep.
Right.
And some people feel energy, some people hear things, some people see, some people touch. Everybody's a little bit different, and just because you don't dream doesn't, my dreams don't lie to me though. And there's a couple things that don't ever lie. My dreams and my tarot cards never lie to me. If I want the truth, I can go to those two things and know that it's going to be true, because people lie to save face, to whatever. And it is what it is. I give them grace. Yeah. But our moon, the moon is just about, what do you want to keep private? So if you want to know what you desperately, or if you have kids, although I believe in, you don't do it after they turn 18, because then again, that's another bad juju. Until they're 18, if you want to really know what's going on with somebody, or you want to connect with them, where's their moon at? Like, what house is it in? What sign is it in? What is going on with them? And then that's going to let you know about their private side. Like, I don't think I would use my spouses without their permission, but you could definitely, before I ever work or team up with a partner to do, I do 2 psychic fairs a year, one in the spring, one in the fall. And I partner with another gal. And she's not, as a matter of fact, you should have her on here because she does singing bowls and energy healing and stuff. And it's really like intuitive what she does. So when she and I were first working together, I said, hey, do you mind if I have your birth information and can we do it? I'll share you all the information that I get, because when somebody gives you their birth information, you're giving away all the information about your whole life, but that you chose when you came in here willingly without somebody. It's a lot of information. It's like giving away your social security number.
Mm.
You know how you need to covet some things? And so I always say, thank you for sharing it. And that I'm going to use it in a safe space. And that if you and I are going to be working together, I want you to know about me just as I want to know about you. So she and I, in the beginning, I said, okay, I'm going to let you know, here are my faults. Here's my 12th house. This is what it means. Because I would try to explain astrology and she wouldn't get it. And I'd say, all right, technology is really difficult for me. I struggle with it. And she's like, yeah, well, I don't understand why you don't get it. And I'm like, okay, let's look at your chart. It's a gift for you. Okay. It's a gift and you get it. And I don't. And I struggle with it. And I'm going to struggle my entire life. And I set that up before I came into this world. And I just have to learn to work with it. And if I let her know, then she's less impatient with me, because in the beginning she was very, I've already explained that to you 3 times. Why don't you already get it? Well, because that's where my Mercury is. And I struggle with understanding that. And this is where yours is. And so then I said, okay, this is where my moon is. This is my private side. Now, did I tell her everything about it? No. But did I look at everything of hers? No, because that's creeping. But, you know, like when you look at the planets and the energy of your astrology, it goes in depth with what did you choose before you came into this lifetime? What did you want to do with it? Does that making some sense to people who don't do astrology? And because she'll always say to me, I need you to put it into plain English for me. And so she's always my sounding board before I go and explain into a bigger group that doesn't know anything about it.
Patty, there's a question on the chat for you.
Can you tell me what it is?
Sure.
Do you want me
My
to-
hubby was born under a balsamic dark moon, waning crescent in Pisces. What is balsamic?
Okay, balsamic. Let me get that picture up again. I'm going to share the screen and here we go.
Salad dressing.
Yeah, I know. So the balsamic is the last one. Think of it as balm on a wound, like you would cover or salve, or so there's not a lot of light. Things are starting to, it's about retreating and being comfortable with retreat into yourself, wisdom, healing, soothing, surrender, and release. And so the kind of energy that person may have, again, let's talk about the Pisces. Thinking of, okay, the Pisces is the fish going 2 different ways, held on by one umbilical cord. And with that kind of a moon, they're working with their wisdom, and they're not like a newbie. They're not a newbie. They understand that they have the information, and they don't feel the need to flaunt it. Like, you know how sometimes you just know something and you don't have to say, told you so. They don't need to say, I told you so. They understand it and they don't feel the need to flaunt it, brag about it. That's if they're vibing high. Now, do we always vibe high? No. But if they're vibing low, you know where they're going to go. But if they're vibing high, they're going to be very comfortable with their knowledge and bringing somebody else along with it. I would say spiritual knowledge, because Pisces is all about connected to the other side and our spiritual awareness.
That makes sense because he used to be a massage therapist and he had magical healing hands.
Yeah, it's about,
Yes.
and he didn't have to tell anybody he was good.
Right.
He didn't have to
Was
say,
good.
I'm good, I'm the best. Look at me. No, he just knew it.
Right.
And there's no sense in telling, he's at the end. Like he's already mastered it and he's just coming in with that information and coming in with that wisdom and knowledge. I mean, we've all met, I know that I have. We've all met like newbies that are onto a spiritual path, and they're like a little puppy dog that are all excited about like everything. He would not be a new puppy dog. He
That's
would be
right.
like just a relaxed soul that,
The older dog that sits in the corner and watches everybody.
right. And when the little puppy dog gets too close and annoys them, they take their paw and they just lay it down.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you know about somebody's moon, so their sun is where they shine, their gift. The moon is where they have this private side. And so when you know these things about yourself or about somebody else, then it just gives you more information to work with.
Okay.
Yeah. Anybody else have any questions? Nothing? Anything to share? No? Everybody's good with their moon?
Oh,
If
yes,
you-
you can also cut your hair by the moon to make it grow. Or
Absolutely.
Yes,
Absolutely.
I do that.
Okay. So that's another thing. And people will make fun of me.
I
And
know.
I'm like, if you want it to grow, or do you not want it to grow? What do you want? So I have a friend who, look, planting by the moon, cutting your hair by the moon, like fishing, hunting. There was a reason that they hunted on a full moon so they could see everything. Everything is illuminated. There's a reason why the dark moon is like the shadow. Nobody sees it. It's scary. It's kind of, people are afraid of it. So no, you take it back to its roots, and that's where things originated from. So think of it as seasons and growing through life, like our age. Yeah, wisdom and a newbie. Yeah.
Absolutely. But I mean, I'm in there, so I'm not worried.
All right, are we good? Anybody have anything else they want to share? Would love to hear it. Or a question. And hopefully you find that app.
And I need to feel it in my hand. I need to know that I can handle it.
Where can we find more of your work?
Oh,
You've got a banner behind you.
so I do astrology and tarot. I'm on Facebook and Instagram, YouTube, and Anchor podcast. And I would encourage you, once you get on YouTube, just sign up for the Anchor and share it. It's a click. That way more people will have access, because not everybody wants to go to YouTube. So I try to be accessible in different areas. I do on my webpage, I do a newsletter 2-3 times a month, depending on like what's going on. And then on my Facebook, I update when stuff's going on with astrology. So yeah, and I do tarot, astrology, and Reiki. I mean, I do other things, but those are my 3 that I'm big on. So Willow Grace Mystik, and the Mystik is with a K because it's a numerology. It's a stronger letter. So if anybody wants to sign up for a newsletter, you can know what's going on with the sun and the moon and the shenanigans of 2020 and know that it will be over soon.